Hello gorgeous ones, how are we just after 5:30? I hope you're happy, hope you're well, hope you're having a wonderful week in lockdown for most of the world here, but anyway, here we are. I'm doing an experiment tonight, so I was going to cook a dish and anyway I found out I don't have one of the vital ingredients, so I thought, well, that's okay, I will just improvise because that's what I do best. I'm good at improvising and I encourage people to improvise because that's how we find things out. So I'm making something called gozleme, which is a very fancy name, and it's a Turkish sort of flatbread with cheese and spinach in it. And I have a new recipe, well, sort of a new recipe. It's a variation. Now, you all know that we love Jimmy cakes. Jimmy cakes were named after one of our good friends at Real Life Medicine called Jimmy James, who invented a type of pancake thing that he cooks in the pancake maker because he doesn't eat almond meal. So this is a kind of a cross between a Jimmy cake and a fathead dough with a bit of hemp protein in it. Hello, Sheena. So we'll give it a crack and see how it all goes. So what I'll do is I'll turn it on. Now, this replaces the recipe I cooked a couple of weeks ago, which I inadvertently did not realise belonged to somebody else. Certainly was not my intention to steal a recipe, because I don't do that, but caused a bit of angst, so we've pulled that down, and I'm just going to come up with a different take on it all. So, as you know, I'm not one for quantities. So I have found some mozzarella cheese. Now this is half a bag. I did fling it on the scales before I came in, and it's about 500 grams. So I want to put about 400 grams in, and basically I don't really, I don't care whether it's 400 or 410 or 390, because it honestly doesn't make that much difference. So basically I go, all right, well, if it was 500 grams, that's about 400. Things yelling at me. I've got a little... You'll also be pleased to know, I'm pleased to know, that I'm not using my skillet tonight. So for the long-standing skillet drama goes something like this. So I have a whole set of Chef's Toolbox, which I had for about, like 15 years. Really, really quite liked it. I know for a lot of people they're a bit rubbish, but mine worked really well, and it's just reached the end of its life. And it's got stuff that's coming, bits were flaking off, and I thought, this might be good for us. So I'm doing a step back because on the Facebook thing, my head's chopped off. So basically, I've been on the lookout for a new pan, and I bought a cast iron one. Seriously, I can't stand it. I know I'll probably get used to it, but it takes forever to cook. It burns things. I've tried seasoning it. I've dried it on the stove. I've stuck it in the oven, and I'm still hating it. It's also incredibly heavy, so difficult for me. But anyway, so I'm thrilled to be using my little old saucepan. So basically what I'm doing is just melting 400 grams of mozzarella and half a block of Philly, so whatever that is, 250 grams. And just shoving that into the pan, taking it off while I stir over here in front of you, darlings. And I'll just let that go. I don't want it to get, when mozzarella gets too hot and does the browning, I don't want it brown. So then, into my bowl, I'm actually going to put in a little bit of LSA. Now, it's about 100 grams, so this is 250 grams, so half a pack. Pretty good, so I reckon, so this is, again, the Lucy Burns way of cooking, about half a pack. Perfect. And then I was meant to get hemp seed, and I asked my darling daughter to go to the supermarket. Anyway, she's got hemp protein powder, which is, if I have a look at it, is just made from hemp, but it's not the seed. So I thought, oh well, why not give it a go? As you know, I don't usually use a lot of protein powders, so I'm just having a look. This has a lot of protein in it, so it's 46 grams per 100. So that's I'm pretty happy with that. So again, I'm going to go about half How much is the packet? 200 grams. All right, so half a packet. So that's about 100 grams for anybody who's writing this down furiously. So I think my gozleme bread's going to be slightly green looking. Anyway, that'll go well. Then, ooh, bit of a stir over here. Don't want my mozzarella going brown. Good, I'll just let that turn that off. I think that'll melt the rest. So then, this is the Jimmy James invention. Little bit of baking powder. Now, I don't have a spoon. I'd probably put about a teaspoon in, I reckon. So, there we go. That's about a teaspoon. So it's a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of gelatin. If you want to keep it vegetarian, just leave the gelatin out. Okay. Bit of salt. Oh, I forgot the eggs. Stay there. I'll be back. I love these. We're really lucky. We've got lots of free range eggs. Yeah, gozleme, everybody. I'm making the Lucy version of gozleme, which I suspect is going to look green. And I'm doing a disclaimer. I have never made it with these ingredients before. So, you luckies, this is like a, what do you call it? Like a foundation recipe. So if this works, which I reckon it will, you guys will be in. Imagine if it was some sort of famous, TikTok recipe where suddenly, it'd be a bit ironic, suddenly Lucy Burns, the non-chef, is, the famous gozleme maker. So I'm just giving that a little bit, it's still a bit. So you can do this in the microwave if you want to, but it's just easier for me to do it on the stovetop while I'm yakking onto you, darlings. How's everyone's week been? Okay, who here, just put your little hand up, who here is from Melbourne or Victoria? Let's not be cityist, because actually I don't live in Melbourne. So who here is from Victoria? Hopefully Facebook or Insta will show me so that I can get a little thing. Oh, I can see some thumbs up, a few watching, a few Victorians. Okay, who here? Yes, me, Kelly, hello, darling. Good, yes, lots of thumbs up for Victoria. Oh, Victoria, Jimmy Rees. Oh, got my Jimmys mixed up then. So then what I'm gonna do, 2 eggs. Okay, so I'll just crack my 2 eggs into this. Got a fork here, that's rather handy. Give that a little bit of a mix in. And who here is from ACT? Anyone here from Canberra? Yes, a few people from Canberra. I know, you're in lockdown too. And then and what about New South Wales? So I've just done a little scoop of the egg. I've got this stuff. And now I'm just pouring in this melted cheesy mix. So you'll remember. So basically, if you're writing this down, even if you're not, we'll have it up on the blog. 400 grams of mozzarella, 250 of cream cheese, probably 125 of LSA, and 100 grams of the hemp protein powder. Not the hemp seed. Might be good, might not be. 2 eggs, some salt. Then a bit of, the other thing that's gone into it is a bit of baking powder and a bit of gelatin. Holy dooly. So this could be called green eggs and ham. It is quite green looking, but anyway, that's okay. I have faith. So what I'm gonna do, so what gozleme is, it's like a flatbread. And you do 2 layers, and then you put some cheese and some feta and spinach in between. So that's what I'm doing. So this is I used to eat gozleme all the time, And back in my old carb days, I had a recipe that basically was super simple with flour and yogurt. I wonder if yogurt would have worked with this. Oh well, maybe next time. But instead, I'm doing this kind of combo, as I said, of fathead dough and Jimmy cakes with some protein powder in it. We'll have a little look. Oh, Lee has no idea how to operate TikTok. Neither do I, Lee. Neither do I. I don't have a TikTok account. It's all a bit of a jest. But I do know that there are some videos that seem to go nuts on TikTok. And every now and then, they play them on Facebook. Now, there's a couple of hilarious videos going around. There's one, I don't know if any of you've seen it. Let me know if you've seen this. It's a mum and her son on Zoom. So there's the picture of the mum and the picture of the son split on Zoom. And they're having a lovely old yak. The son's, I don't know, maybe in his 20s or something. And the mum's sitting at what looks like maybe a dressing table in her bedroom. And then all of a sudden, you see the dad walking past in the background, and then he just gets changed. And so you just see this white bottom. He's got sort of tan skin and then this white bottom. And the son goes, "Oh my God, Dad." And then the dad turns around. There's this full frontal thing going on. So he was just, it was just one of those funny things where the dad thought they were just talking on the phone. And so he just did what he normally does in the bedroom. And anyway, everyone was slightly mortified. There was the skeptic in me wonders if it was a little bit of a setup. Because really, why would you then post that on the internet? Or maybe they just thought it was so hilarious and it would cheer everyone up. And it did, it cheered me up because it was quite funny. All right, so I'm mixing this together. Again, it's a bit of a brown looking mess. It's different to normal. So normal fathead dough is done with almond meal, which is why it looks a little less brown. And I've done a combo of LSA and hemp protein powder, which may or may not be a disaster, but we'll find out. Okay, now what you get to do then is, this is the thing with these sorts of recipes, is you can always add a bit more stuff if you want to. So I'm looking at this thinking it's a little bit tacky. So have a look, see it's a little bit tacky. It's not super doughy, although it's actually getting there if I give it a little bit longer. Oh, actually no, it might be all right. If you make it too hard, too powdery, then it's no fun either. So what I'm going to do with this is get my paper. So remember, with fathead dough, you have to roll it between two bits of paper. And I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to try first without. So basically, oh, that rolls all right. So I'm rolling this little ball of goop, brown kind of fairly unappealing looking goop, but it's pretty mixed in. In fact, I can mix it in a lot better like this. Look at that. Wow, who knew? This could almost be fun. All right, so now I've got my brown looking blob, and I am just going to, and I'm going to make it quite thin because I want to do 2 layers. So you don't want it too thick. Fathead dough that's too thick gets a bit chunky. I've just left my, I've left everything today. I've left my rolling pin. I'll just grab that. I think what happens with food, a lot of people don't necessarily trust themselves around what to eat anymore. And this is really common. It's a really common thing we find, especially at the start. So if there are any 12-weekers here, I think there are, it feels very scary at the start because for a lot of people, when they're starting a new program of any sort, you get given a meal plan or you get told, go and buy this from the shop. And so you get a shopping list and a meal plan. And if they worked, we wouldn't need to be in business because there would be no problem. Nobody would have any trouble with their eating. Everyone would just follow a meal plan and like Goldilocks, they would all live happily ever after. Except that it's not that easy. Because then what happens is when your meal plan is finished, or you decide you don't like your meal plan, or you go out or you go on holidays, then what do? So interestingly, we don't have meal plans. And we know that that's a bit scary. But what happens at the end is that everyone feels really empowered because suddenly they know what they can and can't do for them. Okay, remember it's not about rules, it's about for them. Okay, now, trying to get this to just go a little bit of a better shape for my gozleme. I think maybe I'm having a round gozleme. In my head I was having an oblong one, but seemingly I'm not. Okay, so these you can roll, so that tiny ball, like it rolls out quite thick, quite big. See that? Like that could be a pizza. You could use it as a pizza. You can use it as lots of things. But as I said, I'm turning it into a gozleme. So what I'm going to do, that'll be the bottom. And it's quite speckledy looking, almost looks a little bit wholesome there. That'll be the LSA. So the LSA is different colours. So LSA is linseed, sunflower and almond meal. I don't use a lot of it, but I just thought it might be nice for something a bit jazzy. So what I'm doing now, remember this is quite a big recipe. So if you don't, you can make, so I'm making the top half. Another little ball, squish all that in together. So you can see it looks like it's all, you know, at first it looked a bit wet, but it's not. It's not, it's a beautiful little ball now. So I think I've got the quantities right. And then what I'm going to do is roll this out. Yes, you need to order a rolling pin. You can just, yes, get one online. Oh, do you know what? Okay, here's something. For the longest time ever, I've been Coles. All my shopping's been done with Coles, because originally when we moved here 20 years ago, Coles did online shopping. They were the first of the big two. Anyway, on the weekend, I did probably what hardly anyone's done, and I swapped to Woolies. And do you know why? Because I needed some more mingle, and I wanted the Woolies now have a much bigger range. So Coles, you took too long, and now I've moved to Woolies. Woolies, apparently some of the Woolies also stock their new sauces. I haven't tried the sauces, I don't know if they're any good. They will certainly be better than Master Foods, which are the #1, you know, sauce maker. They make all the barbecue sauce and all of that sort of stuff. Barbecue sauce is basically liquid sugar to put on your savoury meal. It has truckloads of sugar in it. So anything that can provide less sugar is going to be good. Right, so you can see with these, you don't really need to roll it. I guess I could, but I tend to just sort of flatten it out like that. Now, so I've now got a top. Now, here's something that I'm going to do that's a little bit fancy, okay? I feel a bit fancy. So I'm actually going to make some little holes. This is a shot glass, which, you know, God, the last time I had a shot was like when I was about 22. So these little shot glasses, I'm actually just going to cut a little bit out. And these are going to be like little peeking windows in my gozleme, just for a bit of fanciness. So I will be interested to see how this goes. I think it'll taste all right. It's just going to be whether the texture's any good. Anyway, as I said, if it is, you guys have an exclusive. So then, that's my top. So now it's got some holes in it. And what I'm going to do, got the bottom. So here's the bottom. Here's the bottom I prepared earlier. I'll just shove that in there. Now, I'm going to put some spinach in. You could cook the spinach if you wanted to, but I can't really be bothered. So I'm just going to do that. Now, I have Danish style feta. I prefer the Danish. I like it. It's a smoother feta. But remember we did that discovery the other day where the feta I'd been buying for about 100 years, I just realised had some seed oil in it. So I've ditched that one and got just, don't look at my technique. It's one of those ones where you're going, oh my God, is this person alive? Is this person really a doctor? Look at her technique of hacking open a piece of plastic. But this is, you see that? Everywhere. This is Woolworths, and it's got no seed oils. I'm losing my mind here because I've got feta juice dripping down my leg. Okay, so basically I'm just chopping up a bit of feta. I've cut it quite fine, and I'm just going to chop it in half. And I'm just going to sprinkle this over my little gozleme. Just like that. So I've sprinkled that, just sprinkled it around. I'm also going to sprinkle a little bit of grated cheese. If I was very clever, I would have grated my own, but I haven't tonight. So just a little sprinkle of that on. I'm going to put a little bit of salt on top. And then, because I'm so lemon fancy, I'm going to put my fancy top on. Hopefully I can get it off, because that would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? If I'm banging on about being fancy and then I can't get it off. It's a bit more stuck than I thought. That's all right. Here she comes. And then just stick that on there. Voila. Got to be a bit careful around my peekaboo holes. It rips a little more easily. It's probably a bit thinner there, but that's okay. It's coming off. Now, basically, I've got this. I'm just going to press it down because gozleme is sort of really pressed down bread. Oops, little sneaky out the peaky hole. And just go like that. Now, beautiful. So, you could put whatever you want in your filling. I've got one for another one, so I won't sort of, bore you to tears with me watching another one, but I am going to make another one for my non-vegetarian husband, who will probably have his with ham and some cheese, and put a bit of salt on top. Basically, that's it. Bang it in the oven. I've got a slow oven. So mine's on 180. It'll be about 15 minutes. You could put it on 160 if you've got fan force. Just keep an eye on it. And I reckon it's going to be amazing. So I will, when this is finished, I'll take a picture. I'll put a little post about whether it's any good. If it's no good, wipe this video from your memory and we'll go from there. Does look delicious, I'm glad. And look, the worst case scenario, if this isn't any good, then all we know is that the hemp protein powder isn't that good, and we would go the hemp seed. But I reckon the protein powder is going to be good. Who knows? All right, lovelies. I'll go put this in the oven and I'll get back to you later on. Have a wonderful evening. And for our 12-weekers, I will see you Thursday night in our special Zoom. And for all you others, have a beautiful week and keep cooking beautifully wonderful real food. Real food is medicine. You know that. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye, lovelies.